Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us. We are pleased to present our next speaker, Ralph Wen. He's the Principal Product Manager for Veritas Technologies. Please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. I know some of you had to put down your gelato. I'm a little jealous. But so I thank you for giving us some time to really talk about Veritas and how we can help you provide some insight, protection, and resiliency as you're actually starting to make that journey to the cloud. Probably seen a ton of presentations this week, so this one's going to be slightly different. I'm not going to inundate you with a lot of technicals, but I do want to kind of give you some high-level insight into kind of what Veritas can do, especially around AWS. I've changed some names. This is a friend of mine. I call her Jill. She's a backup administrator. She's actually backup administrator, meaning she does everything for her current company. And what Jill is doing is she's actually starting to embark on this whole digital transformation where she's moving certain workloads to the cloud. She's starting to invest in AWS and starting to run different services. And she and I have had many different conversations around what's the best method for all of her different workloads. And one of the things that she said to me, and I actually put this in the presentation, so because she's a friend of mine, I can actually use this without having to register this and give her any sort of reparations. But she basically said, help me to understand my data and help me store it optimally. And when I actually started to double click down into that and really started to ask her some additional questions, really what she was trying to say is that, help me better understand, what data do I have, where is it, who owns that particular data set or those different workloads, do they address certain compliance, meaning do they have PII data, also are they financial data, and then help me eliminate waste. Help me not to be able to identify the workloads that I don't have to move versus the ones I need to move as a higher priority. And then when she said stored optimally, she was more talking about, okay, help me utilize the cloud more effectively, optimize it for cost, optimize it for resiliency and recovery, and also mitigate my risk. So make sure that data moves through my infrastructure at the most optimum pace. And then optimal for insight, giving me some insight as to, okay, what data exists in my filers that I can definitely offload to S3, which data can actually go into Glacier. Do you have a way for me to do that? And I said, of course, Jill. You're a friend of mine, so naturally I'm going to tell you the truth. And the truth is that here at Veritas, we have what we call 360 data management. And when you actually look at 360 data management, especially around AWS, it really is all about, one, visualizing your data, then having governance over that data, being able to put tags into the data, recognizing the tags that you already have, and saying, okay, this is priority one data, these are applications that are core to our business, this is data that needs to stay, and being able to utilize that infrastructure that's in place. Also giving you the ability to migrate data. Choose single-click recovery, single-click migrations, being able to protect workloads on-prem and also in the cloud as you start to move those workloads. Recovery services, if something goes down, how do I recover it to the cloud in a cost-optimal fashion? How do I optimize my applications? Meaning, do we have a way that allows me to take my on-prem environment, skip the lift and shift, and actually optimize it as I move it? And then how do you help me when I develop applications? How do you make me more nimble? And so for us, we have a true technology alliance with AWS, and we've been very proud of that, where we really focused initially on global data visibility, being able to see all your data in all your different locations and being able to categorize that, then getting into unified data protection, and then really now we're getting into the optimized data portability. How do you take things that are in your data center that you definitely want to have running in your EC2 instances and your VPCs and helping you migrate those effectively? How do you have predictable business resiliency so that if you do have a site failure, you can fail over to your AWS instances? And then how do you have high-performance applications? So if you're looking at SAP, you're looking at SQL, and you want to start to move that into the cloud, how do we maintain the operations on-prem and then help those move to the cloud and be as effective as possible? So I'm going to break these down for you quickly. So when we start with insight, one of the main things that you have to remember around insight is that we here at Veritas feel that there's three key objectives that you need to think about when trying to optimize your data for cloud movement and insight into the cloud, especially around hybrid cloud. It's one, establish global data visibility. If you don't know what you have and how long it's been sitting around, who's accessing it, then you're not going to be able to make the most wisest choice around moving data into the cloud. Being able to say, this data hasn't been touched in like 60 days, that's definitely optimized for Glacier. Let me go ahead and move this off to Glacier and recover some of that space back. Then also adopt cloud as as a storage extension, not a silo. I've had many conversations with different individuals, whether they're CISOs, whether they're CIOs, whether they're just directors, and saying, a lot of my guys are using cloud, they have for their particular app and they're using it, I have no way of really centralizing these operations. And then number 3 is complement durability with data protection. So once you're moving data to the cloud and you're looking at insight, how do you make sure that those instances are protected and they're following the protection policy that you have in place? So the way we solve this, and customers love this particular product, it's called our information map. And it's all about giving you that data visibility into all of your data points, whether it's your data centers, whether it's your S3 buckets, whether it's other cloud environments, whether it's other storage devices. We can see into that, and based off of the criteria that you provide us, we can actually assign a cost value to it. We can see the age of that data, and therefore you can start making those better decisions and say, hey, we should not have any PSTs in South America, but yet I see South America has roughly 5 terabytes worth of PSTs. That may be a data point that we can archive to S3. And then from there, the natural progression is protection. One of the things that I love about our approach here for Veritas, especially around our data protection products, is that we didn't just say, hey, we're just going to give you an AMI. We actually optimized the AMI for running in multiple different regions and also supporting not only just the commercial environment, but also the government environment. So we have our Net Backup AMI, which is the market-leading data protection solution that's out there in the space today. It has an AMI that's already out there. You can deploy master servers, media servers, you can deploy clients. We utilize block storage. We utilize object storage for deduplication. You can have a variety of different configurations out there that let you, depending on your data protection requirement, it will support that particular method. We also have the ability to move data into S3 directly, so whatever your recovery choice is, we can definitely support you there. Next, we also have, because we know some customers are actually using born-in-the-cloud applications, we created an application called CloudPoint. And it's a full containerized application. It has an AMI that's already deployed, available in the marketplace. You deploy it. It uses our snapshot methods to tap into your EC2 instance, take those snapshots, categorize them, and give you the individual instances capabilities. So you can restore individual files, you can restore individual volumes, and you can also restore the entire instance itself. And it's also application aware. So as you start to roll out your different applications, you can utilize this small, lightweight data protection solution. And if you're still on-prem and using the traditional methods, it still talks to our leading data protection solution. So you don't have to have 2 different administrators managing your environment. You can have one administrator taking care of on-prem data, moving data to the cloud, and then using our cloud lightweight data protection solution for your born-in-the-cloud applications. So for the sake of time, I'm going to jump into resiliency and migration because this is a hot topic. I talked to a lot of different data protection specialists who are saying, you know, new applications are rolling and they're going directly into AWS, but we do have these legacy applications that we want to migrate, but they have huge data footprints at the backside of it. How can you help us? Or they have huge VMware farms and they're just trying to figure out, you know, how do we start to get into the resiliency and migration aspect? And what we've done with our Veritas resiliency platform is we used all of the knowledge that we had around storage foundation, which has been inside of Linux environments, AIX environments, and Windows environments for roughly 20-some years, and we created a service-optimized recovery solution that allows you to set your business objectives and determine how to migrate your solutions. So it's built all around RPOs and RTOs. You have no impacts. We have the capabilities to tie into the instances that you have, whether they're physical machines or VMs, tap that data, very minimal impact, and then allow you to replicate that data and then bring up those instances just in time, or as part of a full migration cutover. And they also give you the ability to do rehearsals, which is another key aspect that a lot of customers want, is that, hey, how do I test to make sure that, one, I understand how to recover my workload in AWS, and then number 2, I identify any areas that we may not have planned for. And what all of our customers that utilize Veritas Resiliency Platform tell us is that they didn't realize they had such gaps in their resiliency platform or their resiliency plan. They thought they had very detailed run books, but because of the way their applications are distributed across, whether it's VMware, but across different arrays, they didn't know they had some gaps. And this really points that out, and it allows you to recover in many different fashions. Now, when you think about a migration, that's really about saying, hey, I don't want this particular application or workload to run here anymore. I actually want to move it to this particular target. And we have this built in with our CloudPoint or our resiliency platform, we call it cloud mobility. And mobility is all what it says in the name. It's all about having the service along with the technology to, one, identify the workloads, identify their dependencies, and then give you that single click whenever you're ready to migrate. It is literally a single click migration step that says, where's the source, where's the target, and we've already done all the verification in the background. We've already got your keys, we have your user accounts, you've specified all of your encryption methods. All we have to do is go out and we make sure that the source and the target all are there, and then we instantaneously migrate your data. So it's just one of those ones where you can actually click it, walk away, grab a sandwich, grab a beer, depending on what level of stress you had for that day, and then come back and your workload is now up and running. We've already powered it on. We stood up that EC2 instance based off of the size of the source data, and it's up and running. And we're actually coming out with a new updated version that now takes advantages of a lot of the new announcements that AWS made today and yesterday around new containerized models, new instance types. So you're going to see a new release of this in 3 days. So we got a new version coming up that's optimized for new AWS services. Now, of course, I could talk about things that, how great our product is just because I work here, but one of the things that we do is we always talk with our customers, and we work really close with our customers around creating new capabilities. And one of the customers that gave us the permission to share their story was BBVA Compass, which is a bank here in the United States. And we worked with this particular administrator very in-depthly because they had some specific challenges. Their challenges was all around SQL, and they were also trying to get data protection into AWS. And so they were doing a lot of this on their own, setting up our data protection platform, and they were going out around the build it your own method. And we basically said, look, first of all, we have ways to mitigate a lot of that upfront startup costs, and we also have a way to get you up and running and protecting that data and migrating it into the cloud. And so for them, what they use is, this is their actual architecture that they sent us, is they set up, used our AMI, they specified the criteria for their VPCs, they set the master server up, and then they set their media servers up in their actual control VPC so that the data would stick directly into those locations. And then they have multiple different deduplication pools because they wanted to segment the data because from a banking perspective, that was one of their requirements. And they loved the fact that they were able to actually stand this up in a small amount of time. When they initially tried to do this by themselves using Red Hat on their own, it took them 2 hours. When we gave them the AMI and walked them through the process, they were up and running in 20 minutes, and they were able to back up their SQL server, and they're actually about to move into some of their Oracle databases into AWS as well. So we really helped them speed up the migration of some of their data to the cloud, but they had that data protection aspect tied into it. So in summary, I didn't want to inundate you with a lot of slides, but ultimately what I want you guys to remember, because you're going to have a lot of information thrown at you, is that from a Veritas perspective, it all starts with insight. If you don't know what you have, where it's stored, what it's costing you, you're not going to be able to make the best choices around moving data to the cloud. We do offer the capability to do single-click recovery and also single-click migration to the cloud using our tools into the Veritas portfolio. And we also help IT and DevOps be friends again. My friend Jill says she constantly fights with her DevOps guys because they want things done a certain way, and she has an infrastructure that operates a certain way. Now she has a better relationship to them because she can meet their RTO and RPO requirements. And so if you want more information, we only touched on a small fraction of our portfolio, but if you have other needs around how we can help you move your data to the cloud, stop by our booth. It's 2611. It's actually directly across from here. And our team is here that handles all these different products. We can walk you through various different scenarios that you have. We can answer any questions that you might have around Veritas and your use cases that you may have. So with that, I have 1 minute and 26 seconds left. So if you have any questions, great. I'll be stopping around here. We're also giving away a lightsaber, so definitely enter the raffle for that. If you've got kids like I do, definitely want a lifesaver to bring home. But thank you for your time, guys.